By the end of the topic, learners should be able to describe the factors that led to the growth and development of New York as a city and port. Factors which contributed to growth of New York Port. Deep water. New York has deep waters. Most of the channels are deep enough for even the largest ship to float. This factor has favored its growth and development as a port. Handling such large ocean-going vessels requires deep waters. Shelter from the Atlantic. The port is sheltered from strong winds by Long Island and Staten Island. A good port is sheltered by an island. Ice-free conditions. The Port of New York does not suffer from winter freezing. It's ice-free all year-round, which means it is able to carry out trade and other economic activities throughout the year. On a few days the New York port is ice-covered. A large hinterland, New York, is located at the southern end of the Hudson-Mohawk Gap. This is the easiest route through the Appalachian Mountain Barrier. In 1825 the Erie Canal, now called the New York State Barge Channel, was opened. Today a number of roads and railways pass through the gap. This location has enabled New York to serve the Midwest of USA, the richest agricultural and industrial region in the world. New York has a low tidal range. Tidal range is the difference of water level between high and low tides at a given location. A tide is the rise and fall of the surface of the sea approximately twice a day, caused by a gravitational pull of the moon and to a lesser extent of the sun. In New York, the difference between the high tide water and low tide water is less than 2 meters. This means the port can be used at all times of the day. Strategic location of New York. New York is located on the eastern coast of USA, and this directly links it to the industrialized Western Europe. A factor which has made it possible for New York to handle much of the water traffic. Each minute New York receives many ocean vessels coming from various parts of Western Europe, Africa, and South America. Presence of rivers, especially the Hudson, the Harlem, and the East River, give New York a large area for building docks. More so, New York is connected to its hinterland by navigable rivers for more than 700 miles. These rivers also provide water for domestic and industrial purposes. Availability of capital. The necessary capital for the modernization and development of the port was available, especially from the early Dutch settlers and then later from the immigrants. To maintain the position as one of the leading ports of the world, New York has had to undergo modernization from time to time. One of the greatest development has been the introduction of containerization, which is the packing of goods in large metal containers, which are then sealed and remain unopened until they reach their destination. It minimizes mishandling of goods, protects cargo against thieves and bad weather. It is much cheaper and quicker way of handling cargo. Easy transport also contributed to the growth of New York. New York is the gateway to the interior. It is a focus of land, water, and air routes. This makes transportation of products very easy. The case of transport contributed greatly to the development of New York. Availability of both skilled and semi-skilled labor, which was mainly provided by the immigrants. Hard underlying granite rock provides a firm foundation for construction of skyscrapers, like the World Trade Center and the UNO building on Manhattan Island. Availability of water. Water supply, like from Atlantic Ocean, used for domestic purposes, industrial establishments, and for dumping wastes and sewerage. Political stability. Since independence, the security of USA has attracted local and foreign investors, limiting defense budgets and supporting development. Relief. The flat and gently sloping relief like Manhattan Island, lack of easy construction, transport, mechanization and drainage. Favorable government policies. like developing new infrastructure, construction, maintenance, and rehabilitation. Favorable government policies supporting industrial development like giving loans, training skilled labor through science-based education system. Improved science and technology. This has led to producing better quality production and a big mass for a domestic and foreign market like machines, textiles and chemicals. Historical cultural factors. Like the early settlers of New York from Europe who came with enough skills and capital which were used to transform and develop industries. Advantages of New York as a port. New York owes much of its importance to the fact that it has a fine natural rock basin harbor. Hard underlined rock, giving a firm foundation for skyscrapers. Deep water and large water frontage. New York communicates with the ocean by channels which are deep, 14 meters, and wide enough to take very large ships. The water is practically free from sediments. It has a total water frontage of somewhat more than 1,400 kilometers, provided by the Manhattan Island and Hudson and East River banks. Shelter from the Atlantic. The port is sheltered from strong winds by Long Island, Staten Island, and Coney Island. Ice-free conditions. The Port of New York does not suffer from winter freezing. Being ice-free is caused by the warm Gulf Stream, which increases the temperature of water along the southeast of the United States. A large hinterland. New York is located at the southern end of the Hudson-Mohawk Gap. This is the easiest route through the Appalachian Mountain Barrier. New York has a low tidal range. Tidal range is the difference of water level between high and low tides at a given location. The range is very little less than 2 meters. This means the port can be used at all times of the day. The strategic location of New York. New York is located on the eastern coast of US, and this directly links it to the industrialized Western Europe.